Yes, YouTube, hope that you're good. It's Ben Hawksworth at the Coach Consultant, and today I'm walking through the best style of content for online coaches and personal trainers in 2025. As we know, there is a substantial amount of new emerging content that is going in line with the algorithm, but there's also a hell of a lot of trends which seem to have lasted the distance, and that is going to be the 12 areas that I'm going to speak about today in terms of what I've got behind me on the whiteboard. And it's so important to make sure that you are taking this side seriously, guys, because what you will kind of find is if you are working against the algorithm and just think that you don't need to play the game, then you're not going to see much engagement, you're not going to see much reach, you're not going to get new people coming to your page. If you don't have new people coming to your page, then you're going to have a lower amount of opportunities in terms of acquisition and sales, which is then going to hinder your rate of growth, right? So what I want you to really kind of take into account is take this shit seriously. Content creation needs to be at the forefront of your mind every single day and every single week to see how you can improve the quality, the impact, alongside scaling the volume onto multiple different channels and long form, short form, and everything else, right? So I'm going to do a step-by-step walkthrough, right? Number one is going to be the boring one, guys, but that is pain points. But let me explain why, right? When you lead with pain points associated with that niche, then pain will equal a form of action. So if you can be coming in and really kind of heavily talking about someone's pain, right, then that is going to initiate them to actually want to watch that reel, right? Whereas if you're creating content for the sake of creating content and it's not really got that much kind of specificity towards them as a person, they're probably going to go past and wait for something that stands out to them. So leading with pain points associated with your niche and your offer is without question the single most important thing that you need to do at all times, because pain will equal interest and pain will equal action, because that's what's going to get people really heavily focusing on you, right? Number two is going to be personal brand, leading with personal experiences. So if you can basically talk about a niche's pain point, but at the same time relate that to a personal experience that you've had within that pain point, then you're going to be onto an absolute winner straight away, because you're not only highlighting that pain to them and getting action, but you're also going to be in a situation where you can actually come across as more relatable, more real, and people are going to start to get to know you a bit more and really kind of buy into who you are as a person. And that is basically how we build out a personal brand, is by being personal, is by talking about, showing, sharing your own beliefs and your own experiences. But if you can coincide that person's pain with your own experience in that area, you are going to be onto an absolute winner associated with that. Number three is going to be looking at the standard day in the life BTS and voiceovers. This for me is going to be a top performing piece of content at all times. And go back to the principle of social media, right? People follow you, so you can't see, but I've got a sign there what says Ben Hawksworth, so it just stand out my name. So my name on Instagram is Ben Hawksworth _. People follow me because they followed me because they're interested in me, or follow me because they're interested in what we do, right? So for example, if I'm not actually showcasing parts of my personal life on there, and there's not really kind of any form of element associated with what's going on away from me, just talking on pain points, then I'm going to immediately get a little bit less buy-in. So for example, with you guys, what I want you to really think about is how much does your audience actually know about you and your life, and how much are you actually showcasing and how much are you actually talking about. The next point from that is going to be moving into over here, and that is basically myth busting, right? So myth busting is so important, because myth busting is going to put us in a situation where, in essence, the type of bullshit that people are going to be following out there, you're going to come in and explain that, look, like what you are following is not correct, this is why, and this is a way to understand it. And if you can position yourself in a place like that, then you're going to come across as more authoritative, you're going to come across with more trust, because at the end of the day, guys, there's going to be a hell of a lot of stuff that people are following here, which they potentially have got one foot in and one foot out of, and all it takes is for you to explain that piece of content in a really easy, understand way to format and process for them to actually start trusting you and your services. Next up from that point is taboo topics, and I purposely put taboo topics and myth busting together because in my opinion they go hand in hand, right? We need to make sure that when we are talking about these kind of taboo topics, because in essence a taboo topic is something that you probably think that you shouldn't speak about on social media, but it's the thing that you need to speak about on social media, because if it's taboo, if it's different, if it stands out, people are going to get interested in it, people are going to be engaged by it, people are going to be bought into it. So what I want you to really think about here is when we're looking at these taboo topics and myth busting, how can you actually coincide these together, where for example there's a massive taboo topic and you're going to bust that myth associated with that taboo. The one over here, sorry I'm going to come off camera a bit there, you've got basically an emotional story. So emotional stories are obviously going to be so impactful. So if you look at any type of movie out there, guys, or any type of TV show, there's always a big emotional story, and that's what people are bought into. And that's what you need to think about when you're creating content, is when you're talking about your own personal experiences associated with their pain points, right? How can you actually bring emotion into it where people get bought into either you or bought into, for example, your clients as a starting point? Because when you can bring emotional buy-in and storytelling in, you are going to capture an audience like that straight away. Down at the bottom, we've got your direct process. So direct process can come in loads of different shapes and forms. So you've got direct process associated with a morning routine. You've got a direct process associated with meal prep, direct process associated with an exercise, direct process associated with finding a solution or a mindset or a task or a journal or whatever it is, where you are in essence just giving someone the thing that they need to learn about, because that is high valuable for people. If it's high valuable for people, again, they're going to engage with it, they're going to buy into it, they're going to trust you, they're going to be connected to you. Next up from that point is comparisons. So comparisons, again, is very similar to your direct process there. So comparison for me, for example, could be comparing two different food sources. It could be comparing one exercise versus another. It could be comparing one strategy versus another, right? Or comparing two different situations where they could be in if they took action X, Y, and Z, right? So comparisons are really important, because it basically is a way to show, again, your myth and your taboo busting alongside a comparison to an actual direct process as well. Next up from that point is going to be the least engaging, right? Don't get me wrong, but a case study is normally really impactful in terms of the actual direct response that you get in terms of trust. Because if we're doing all this right, for example, we're talking about pain points, personal experiences, you've got day in the life, so you've got myth busting, taboo topics, emotional stories, direct processes, comparisons, right? All we're going to do in this point is going to slip in a case study, because that could be the final little cherry that someone needs to get to a point of actually wanting to take action in working with you. So when we're coming down to the bottom of here, guys, what we've got is we've got humour, right? Humour, like every single person has been on social media in 2025, I'm sure. Humour is the one thing that is absolutely banging, right? So think about this. How can you combine humour with a pain point, with your personal experience, alongside myth busting and taboo topic at the same time? When you sit and really think about it, it's not that difficult, because all you are doing is potentially taking a joke out of the taboo topic while busting its myth, while using potentially where you've done something similar in the before, but you've also spoke about their pain point, right? It's about how you combine all these different things into one, because it's not just about doing a skit or just doing one or the other. It's about how you merge and combine all of these together. So another way that you can also show humour is with analogies. So if you're part of my company, for example, you will know that even within our program, I absolutely fucking love analogies, right? I absolutely love it, right? So analogies for me are so important, because I believe that people need different ways to process information rather than just going, here's a strategy, here's an SOP, here's a skill, right? People need to actually understand why it is, and that's exactly the same as you with your audience. So what I wanted to take into account is, right, what have we got in terms of analogies that we can use to explain a myth or a taboo topic in a really complex situation, but making it simple for that audience to actually understand and articulate. And then final one at the bottom, guys, you've got reaction videos. So again, reaction videos goes perfectly hand in hand with humour, yeah? So when we're looking at all these 12 different areas that we've got on the whiteboard there, I'll step back so you can see them all. I want you to think about how you can incorporate as many of these different points into a single piece of content. What I don't want you to do is go pain point reel, personal experience reel, day in the life reel, myth busting reel, taboo topic reel, emotional story reel. I want you to imagine that this is like scoring points, where you've got these 12 different pillars here. How can I score as many different points as humanly possible on each individual piece of content that I put out? Because that is the type of stuff that's going to bring in the most engagement, because we're going in line with the type of stuff that we know people like across the board. Whereas if you are coming in with a single basic plain format, then that is not going to be highly engaging for that consumer and that niche in your community. But the forefront of it is, guys, number one, always lead with pain. Pain will lead to action, pain will lead to interest. From that point, combine your personal experiences associated with that pain, so you can actually be relatable to this audience and real to this audience and build connection with them. To build further connection with you and your personal brand, do more day in the lives. To bring in a lot more engagement and trust and authority, focus on how you can actually myth bust alongside bringing in typical topics with that concept as well. If you're talking about your own experiences or a client's experiences or a general experience, consider how you can bring emotional storytelling into it. From that point, make sure that you've got areas that's going to show a direct process. So that is basically proof behind the product and in the pudding, as they say in the north. But in reality, what we need to make sure is that we can show people that what we are saying, we can walk the walk and talk the talk. Then you've got loads of different other areas, guys. You've got comparisons, again, with different foods and different training exercises. You've got humor and analogies to have entertainment and infotainment, but also explain things to people in a really simple, easy format. And then obviously you've got your final one, which is your reaction videos, where you'll see a lot of where you've got overlaying someone else's video or playing it at the start and reacting to it afterwards. But for me, for online coaches, reaction videos, I'll put it as number 12 because I don't think that it's something that's going to benefit your business too much, in all fairness. If you want to make skits and get loads of followers, yeah, 100%. But if you want to build a robust lead generation, content production, sales machine, and a business out of it, then in my opinion, I'd be looking at the 11 rather than the 12 down here. And that's why I've purposely studied to cover it up, but it is one to obviously kind of add onto there as well, guys. So again, content production is something that we heavily focus on. I have an asset called the Content Catalyst, which is basically the sister to Offer Conquering, which is basically everything that you need to know about an offer, everything that you need to know about a personal brand, and everything that you need to know about content creation, alongside having weekly live calls, live call format, one-to-one social media strategies. Like, we invest a substantial amount into content production and content value for our clients. So if you want to know any more about that at any point, guys, then please feel free to drop me a message. If not,